Good morning. I am the VFW Post 112 Commander Rick Jarvis. On behalf of myself, American Legion Commander Alex Warzeka, the American Legion Auxiliary, we welcome you to our Memorial Day program. As we are gathered here today to remember fallen comrades, it's fitting that all present feel the same reverence to their memory that is felt by those who knew and loved them. These comrades loved their families, their country, and their God. No sacrifice was too great, no task was too difficult to perform. In carrying out the demonstrations of that love, we honor those who bravely answered the call to duty and remember them with respect and gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Raise the flag. Order, arms. Please remain standing for the invocation by VFW Chaplain Jim Lang.
Eternal God, ever-loving God, we thank you for the privilege of meeting on this hallowed day in this free nation to honor our noble dead and to rededicate our lives to you and our country. We thank you for the high ideals and devotion for which others have lived and died. Bless them and us as we honor them on this Memorial Day. Amen.
VFW member Sergeant John Ginter will place the POW MIA flag on the empty chair in memory of those who have not returned home. Alex Warzeka will now have a reading. You have your seat.
You may be seated. Let this act remind us that we must never cease our efforts to gain the freedom and safe return of those still living, and the return of the remains and full accounting of those who have perished as prisoners of war. May they know through our efforts that truly they are not forgotten.
Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. You may be seated. I will now read the preamble of the VFW. The purpose of the veterans of foreign wars shall be fraternal, patriotic, historical, charitable, and educational, to preserve and strengthen comradeship within its members, to assist other worthy comrades, to perpetuate the memory and history of our dead, and to assist their widows and orphans, to maintain true allegiance to the government of the United States of America and fidelity to its Constitution and laws, to foster true patriotism, to maintain and extend the institutions of American freedom, and to preserve and defend the United States from her enemies, whomsoever. Now, American Legion Commander Alex Warzeka will read the preamble of the American Legion.
For God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in all wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of freedom, justice, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness.
We will now have the reading of the names of our departed comrades by VFW Chaplain Jim Lang and American Legion Chaplain John Justin.
Donald Check,
Richard Witt II,
Richard Zahowski,
Diane Workman,
Ralph Hoheisel,
Marlon Parker,
Gerhard Zeck,
Walter Bob Olson,
Richard Zilka,
John Wakawarix,
Jerome Otremba,
Thomas Copa,
Paul Walvogel,
John Beatty,
Gerald Larson,
Frederick Fessler,
Don Zenner,
Ray Ekman,
George Sobiek,
Wayne Sherling,
Jerome Golombecki,
Robert Grissom,
Joe Masog,
Jerry Saxton,
Adrian Schneider,
Earl L. Neiman,
Harry Swanson,
Darwin Gustafson,
This poem is named A Eulogy for a Veteran. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on the snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die.
For the second year in a row, Memorial Day looks a little different than in the past years, and in many cases our backyard barbecues and get-togethers are replaced by video chats and other marvels of modern technology. Still, we hold to some semblance of what life was and what we know it will return to. And the memories and emotions this day brings are always the same. For countless families across the nation, Memorial Day is a stark and often painful reminder of those who were never afforded the opportunity to be honored as veterans for their service to our country. Their sacrifice and true expressions of selfless service, one that no one would pick for themselves, whether they volunteered at time of war, served during peacetime, are never expected to wear the nation's uniform until the draft card arrived. They represented the best America has to offer. Vice Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Paul Silva, in 2018 stated, "Only 1% will wear the uniform of this nation to put themselves in harm's way to serve and protect the nation." That means we have to pick from the very best because they are going to lead the very best. They are such a small part of our population, but one important part of our population. We owe them everything we can give them for what they have given us. We feel their loss roaming in the sacred hills of Arlington Cemetery and in other final resting places around the world. Too many mothers, fathers, siblings, and children feel the immense weight of seeing an empty chair year-round. For them, Memorial Day brings to the forefront of what's always operating in the background. Please join me in recognizing those family members here today who have lost a loved one to our service. Your courage and grace after such unimaginable loss are inspiring. Sending a loved one off so they can serve in combat must be a surreal experience. I suspect conflicting emotions and the fear and pride are present in the minds of both the service members and their families. Like any other send-off, you hold them tight and tell them you love them and watch them head out until they are no longer in sight. But what makes sending a loved one off to war very different is the all too real possibility that a uniformed military officer and chaplain may show up at your doorsteps to deliver devastating news. This will be the 20th year we've been at war, longer than any other American conflict that came before. About 2.7 million Americans have served in Iraq and in Afghanistan, and over half of them has deployed more than once. Those who returned are now our community members, our neighbors, and our friends. In fact, I'm confident if you take time to learn about any veteran where you live, you'll be floored by the stories of service and sacrifice, known only to those who witnessed it firsthand. Then, there are the unbelievable brave accounts of heroes who can no longer speak for themselves. It is up to us not only to tell their stories, but to honor their service and memory by ensuring their families and survivors are cared for. For instance, Army Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash will become the first black service member to receive the Medal of Honor for actions in Iraq or Afghanistan. Sergeant Cash died on November 8, 2005, 22 days after his Bradley fighting vehicle struck a roadside bomb in Iraq. It was the 35-year-old's second combat deployment in Iraq since the 2003 invasion. The explosion that rocked the Bradley ruptured the fuel cell, engulfing the heavily fortified vehicle and its occupants in flames. Not long after that, enemy bullets rained down on their position. But that did not stop Sergeant Cash from acting to save his soldiers. Drenched in fuel, he pulled out the driver, who was still on fire, from the burning vehicle. Once those flames were put out, he returned to the Bradley, only to have catch on fire in his gas-soaked uniform. By the time he got each of the other 6 soldiers out alive, more than 70% of his body was covered with second and third degree burns. Despite all this, he insisted on being the last person on the medical evacuation helicopter. 4 of those soldiers ended up making the ultimate sacrifice, along with Sergeant First Class Cash. They joined the ranks of the heroes taken from us far too soon. It is impossible to know what was going on through his mind during those critical moments following the attack, but we can catch a glimpse by listening to a former Army Captain Flo Groberg, a Medal of Honor recipient who, in Afghanistan 2012, put himself between a suicide bomber and his soldiers. Thankfully, Goldberg survived as the vest exploded and the terrorist was pushed away from the formation. He said, in combat, there might be a moment where you have to make a decision that will more than likely dictate whether you live or you die. When you are willing to put yourself in front of that bullet, in front of that suicide bomber, in front of that mortar, in front of anything that is going to kill you for your men, that's love. We may never know what was going on through his mind, but we know Sergeant First Class Alvin Cash loved his soldiers. Harsh reality of war and military service in general, and that's not everyone will make it home. Let us honor the memory of heroes no longer with us, and let us strive to live up to the example set by such selfless patriots each and every day. Thank you for being here today. Can you bring the color guard to attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Gary Gruber, VFW member and Vietnam Navy veteran, will now place the wreath in memory of all service members who have died at sea. We'll now have the benediction by American League Chaplain John Justin.
Please uncover. Eternal God, Supreme Commander of us all, we bow before you with reverent hearts, knowing you lead us on in death as you have in life. Mindful of service nobly done, you have called our comrades to everlasting life and eternal peace. We gather in gratitude for all those who, at their country's call, have met the rude shock of battle and have surrendered their lives amid the ruthless brutalities of war. Forbid that their suffering and death should be in vain. We beseech you that, through their devotion to duty and suffering, the horrors of war may pass from earth and that of your kingdom of right and honor, of peace and brotherhood, may be established among men. Comfort, O Lord, all who mourn the loss of those near and dear to them, especially the families of our departed comrades, whose names we read today. Support them by your love. Give them faith to look beyond the trials of the present and to know that neither life nor death can separate us from your love. Be with us as we depart, that in all our ways we may be confident of your presence. When we are discouraged, give us a new heart and a new spirit. When we are tired, help us to find new strength. When we are afraid, restore our confidence in your power and your purpose for our lives. So we may serve you, O God, by being your people in service to all who need us, and enjoy for your love. Amen. Cover.
Thank you to the Color Guard, the firing squad, and everyone who attended and took time to remember our ancestors and family members, our loved ones, our neighbors, our friends who made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom we enjoy. You are all invited to join us for a light lunch now, being served at the VFW. And once again, thanks for coming. That's our program.